Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Cardcraft. Thanks for joining me again today. File folders. Now, they're out there. There's lots of different sizes. There's lots of different shapes. Shapes, you know what I mean. They're pre-purchased. They're dies. You can make your own. You can cut down your own from larger ones. They're really a simple little, I don't know, shape. What else can we do with them? We can make them into journals. We can just use it as a standard file, fold it over like that. This is a pre-purchased one, an old one that I had in my stash. So you can fold it over, sit it in your journal, maybe put a pocket in it. Bob's your uncle. Okay, so there's that. I played around with them again the other day. As I said, I came across these which were in my stash, had been for ages. Love this colour. Not so keen about this colour. And I thought, oh yeah, I can cover that and I can do that. So I started to play. You know me, I tend to do muck-ups of everything first. So I'll either use just normal copy paper, or I've got some old scrapbook paper that is white on one side, coloured on the other side. So, pull that off. So I started to play with this. So this was the die, which I cut out, ran it through my big shot, but finished my big shot here, so that I could then turn this around and just trace around this end, so that I got a double tabbed file folder, as this die only has one tab. Cut it out and went, yep. Put a little pocket in here. Put a little pocket in here with a fold down bit there, and thought, yeah, I like that. Not overly keen on the side bits and all the rest. I can go further with that. So I started playing around with just some normal cardstock and came up with a larger one. This one I found wanted to flip down. So I grabbed a little Timmy paper clip and popped that on there as a decoration. It'll end up being decorated, but it was just something that I had floating around. Came up with this one. Had a paper pad that I've had for, well, not had for ages. You know how you go and you buy something because you absolutely love it. It is beautiful. You have to have it, and then you won't use it. This was what this Stamperia paper pad was. It was the most beautiful, beautiful thing. I've got the cover here somewhere. Somewhere, she cried. There is a cover. Right. What's left of the cover? So it was Stamperia and Princesses. It was their 8x8 paper pad, and I fell in love with it. But I fell in love with it so much that I wouldn't use it. Now, we all do it. Don't just sit there and laugh at me. So I started to use some of it up. It had lots of embellishments, more than patterned paper. And they're just the most beautiful embellishments. So I've done a little bit, and I've used up some of it. And this is what I came up with. So it's your file folder front. I've stamped on a bit of calico for that, and there's a little bit of washi tape there. The rest of it is all out of that paper pad. So it opens up. You've got a pocket down here, okay, with a little journal card, and I've just put some coffee dyed paper on the back because it had patterned paper or embellishments on the other side. You have this little fold down flap with a little pocket in here, and then you have this as a pocket in here with another tab. It was fiddly to come up with everything to cover it with, but it is in essence very easy to achieve. Now, you can do that with one of these, okay? And because this is what it is, it finishes here. For me, I wanted the tabs to go along the same lines. So all you're going to need to do, this is a harder cardstock, so just bear with me. Take that up to there so that that's in line. This one already has the one fold, so what I'm doing is just creasing it down that fold. Get my bone scorer on that. You could have scored it, which will make it a smoother fold. Should have taken a bit further, so that I end up with a spine. Okay? And then I've got like a book. So that probably should have come over a bit further. Let's try it with this one. So for my spine to go out, needs to go to about there. Okay. That gives me a spine in the centre. Because I've got a spine now, what I can do, apart from make sure that it's straight, okay, so now I've got a spine and I've got a little book. I can sew signatures in here if I want, still do all my other decorating, but still I've got a spine so I can pop. Look, you're only going to pop in something like that one signature, but you can still do it. In something like this, you could get 2 small signatures just from a file folder, but you can make them. You can make them any size you want. They are so easy to make. It's working out your basic size that you want to start with. If I can find a ruler, I'll be right. This one measures 5 inches by 8. 2, bring that over there. Okay, so all I've done with this one is I've cut off a length, and it's just cardstock, very lightweight cardstock in a craft colour. Cut off a piece that's 5 inches in length by 8 and 2/8, an eighth of an inch. It's a 16th, isn't it? An eighth. By 8 and 1/8. Blah. Say that fast. Okay, find 4 inches, score, and then score an eighth of an inch over again, which gives you 4 inches either side to your tabs. Simple as that. So, in the magic of TV, let's move that one. Ta-da! All right, 5 inches, 8 and 1/8 of an inch. Measuring 4 inches across, score down, go over an eighth of an inch, score down. Then it's just working out the size you want your tabs. Now, for the most part, I will draw them. Sometimes what I do, and sitting in front of me somewhere, and I know it's here because that's how I started with it to start with, I know what I mean, is I will get a tab shape to start with. Now, whether you've got a die or not makes no difference. If you've got a die, yes, it's easier. You can either use that to trace around, or I did just put that just in front of me a little while ago. What would I have done with it? I don't know. Just a tab shape. And let's face it, tab shapes can be nice and easy. All right, so here's a bit of scrap. Let's say we want our tab about this high. And what I've got Remember, I've got my little piece of clear acetate with glue all over it. And I've got a small corner that I've used from a corner rounder to punch that. I can sit that on that line, take that edge, turn it over, take that edge, might help if I have a sharp pencil. So I've just got my little rounds, and then I can round it off that way. Okay, and all of a sudden, you've got a tab shape. Now you can do that any length you like, any height you like. There you've got a template for making something like that. So if you cut that out very quickly. Okay. You can play with it to make sure it's nice and straight, that it's even on the ends, etc. Once you've got it, keep it. All right, so there's your tab shape. So you get a piece of cardstock that's this high, from 4 inches across. Sit this up near the end. Trace around that till you get to your edge point, and then it's just straight across. Doing the same on the other side. Okay, so each time I do these, they're going to be different. But this way, if I've got my original template, I can make each of these exactly the same. Sit that there, because I have no idea what I've done with my original one. I've got an old one that says document or something like that, that was done in cardstock, and I tend to keep it and trace around it all the time. So here's our file folder with our little spine, just so that it sits nicely. And to cover this and to decorate it and to save time, I have pre-cut everything out. Now, move that, and I'll move that. Just sit that up there like that. So we want our front. When you're... That's my back. There we go. Okay, so when you're cutting them out, you just make them a little bit smaller. So I even wrote front on there so that I knew what it was that I was doing. So I'm going to go all around it with my white glue first. Now you can do any glue that you like. You can do double-sided tape, wet glue, glue stick. I tend to, if I'm using these, which are a thicker cardstock, they're just off a paper pad, so I didn't have enough patterned paper from the Stamperia one to do another one out of that, which was just rather sad, but I will use all those embellishments and other things. So I tend to go round with my white glue and then go in the centre with my glue stick. Laying it down. So what I've used now is another paper pad. Because it's all glue and not double-sided tape, gives me room and wiggle time to move them all into place. So I've just grabbed another paper pad. This time it's a Kaiser Craft one, Antique Bazaar. Came out, would have come out in about 2015, I think. So it's about 6 years old. Had it for a while. So front, let's do our back at the same time so that they're both done. Straight up. Now, you've already made your little template for, sorry, that's our clock, Big Bertha I call her. I knew I shouldn't have started this just before 12, because it's going to be the longest one, isn't it? But I had the house to myself, and I thought, yay! All right. There, she's finished. Did I talk my way through it? Here's our back. Again, I'm right-handed, so I've swung it around. I work on my centre first, and then I can wiggle around if I need to change anything. Right, I'll decorate the front at the end. Right, so inside, what we want is covering on here to start with before we put our pocket on. Now, when I'm doing the covering for this, I don't need to go all the way around down. It'll make, because I know I want a pocket, it'll just make it thicker. So I've cut one that finishes just part down. If I've got a pocket to here, you'll still see a little bit in that pocket, but otherwise it'll just go up the top. And it's, one, it saves me paper. Woohoo, I need to save paper. I don't have enough of it. Right. And two, it stops the bulk in there, especially when I'm using paper pads and not digitals. If you're using digitals and you're just printing them off on copy paper, you won't need to worry about it as much, because helps if I go close to the side, because they don't create as much bulk. When you're using paper pads, a lot of the time they are a thicker cardstock to start with. So if you're doing layers upon layers upon layers, then you want to start looking at how you can alleviate some of the thickness in there. Let's face it, our journals tend to be thick enough as they are. Why put extra on there? All right, so this one, because I'm going further up, I'm going to have to start up this side. Like so. Because it's glue, I can wiggle it a little bit. Right, make our pocket. I'm using the same cardstock as this so that it keeps giving that same border all the way around them. Now again, I've cut it out early to make it a little bit quicker, but all you're doing, measuring a piece that's still that 5 inches wide, if you're doing it the same size as this. Work out how far up you want your pocket to come. So for this one, it is 2.5 inches. Find your centre point, which would be 2.5. And then using that little template again, sit it in and make it as long as you like. You could just have a smaller one in here, but line this line up with these. Okay, so this template's different, of course, to the ones I've used on this anyway, because it was just a quick one I've drawn. So if it was the same template, you would just sit it in on your middle point, and then you could move it along to make it the length you want. You might only want a small tab or inverted tab in here. If you want a larger one, you know, you just move it to make it whatever size you want. So this one, we're going to adhere down near that score line, but I don't want it right on that score line. Again, it'll make it harder to close. So we're just going to pop it just a little bit shy of that score line. So if I bring that up, right, so you can see the score line. So I'm just a little bit shy of where that score line actually is. So because this one's a pocket, we're just going to use our normal wet glue, going as close to the edge as we can. Now you can put your decoration or cover it first if you like, or you can put your pocket on it and then cover it. There's no right or wrong. It's just whichever one you grab first. It is wise to cut your covering first before you stick it on though, so that you can use this as a template for it. So you'll notice I just keep turning this around, sorry. So just shy of that score line, lining it up, giving it a push. I think I saw some ooze out. Double check I'm not on that side. Right, so there's my pocket. So I've already cut my template from it so that it's just a little bit shy and giving me the same border running all the way around. That one can be adhered on now too. I love file folders. They're just one of those invaluable things, and they're so easy to make. As I said before, look, you can get dies. You are limited to the size of your file folder if you've got a die, and you just stick to that die each time. I always like to change things. You should know that by now. You know, I might do 2 of the same things, and then that's it. I can't do any more in that size or whatever else for that particular thing. So I find that all of my dies and stamps, I'm the same with my stamps, whenever I'm purchasing a new one, I always look at different ways I can use them. I don't want to be able, let's face it, we spend a lot of money on this hobby. We want to look at how many ways we can get out of one item. I'm of the big opinion, this is me, this is just me, that I don't want to be able to use something just one way. I want to be able to get lots of different ways out of it. So I always look at my dies, I look at my stamps for how many, if I pick something up and I go, wow, I like that, how many different ways am I going to get out of it? Because it's not a cheap hobby. It can be, I'm sure. It's not for me. It's never been for me. And, you know, we could go mental. We could bankrupt ourselves. Always look at different ways of using things, and then try not to do what I do and find something, especially papers. My big thing is papers. I find papers and I just have to have them. They're beautiful, whether they're digitals, whether they're scrapbook papers, whether they're paper pads, whether they're whatever. If it's any form of paper or cardstock, I love it. But then I won't use them because they're too nice. You know, and I could use them today, but what if I find just the right thing to use them on next week? And that has been part of me for so long. I've been doing paper craft since the mid-90s. And I have always been under that. I always look really well at different ways that I can use all my stamps, and these days my dies. Originally, when I got in, I was stamping. So inks, yes, they're a one colour thing. Can't really do much more with that. But yes, I can rub them over cardstock. I can stamp with them. Stamps, you know, I'll use a bit of a stamp. I'll use a lot of a stamp. I'll use different ways of stamping, and on fabrics and on card and paper and metal and all sorts of things. So I always get my bits out of my stamps. My dies these days probably since late 90s, I've been using dies, and so again, I would always look at dies of how much I could get out of it, what else I could do with it. But paper, I'm shocking. Paper is just one of those things that, oh, I like it. Don't know if I'd ever use it. I love it. Got to have it. And so I tend to get such a collection of papers, which is why usually in my videos, you'll see me quite often pull out, this is an old paper, because I've got so many of them, and I just keep them and keep them and keep them. So I'm determined determined to start using them. Won't stop me buying more. I'd hate to say how much more paper I've bought in the last month. But, you know, and I always tell girls when I'm doing classes and things like that, and I'll say to them, you know, because I'll say, oh, I've got so much. You should always plan. If you're buying something new, look at it, new papers. When you're doing something with it, use at least one old item with it at a time. You might not get through much of your stash. You'll get through a little bit. Makes you feel better. You are using some of your stash. But why can't I practice what I preach? I don't know. Right. So we've got our front, our back, our side pocket, and now we've got this one. Right. So for this one, sorry, I'm waffling a lot today. It's because I've got the house to myself. That's this. When I started with this one, let me just... what did I do with you? There. All right. I worked out what I wanted to what would fit, because it's going to go all the way down. Worked out the size that I wanted for this pocket, and then I doubled it. Okay, so I set it on, traced around it, flipped it over, traced around it, scored down my centre line, and cut it out, so that what I've ended up with is a mirror image of itself, so that when this goes on, it'll sit in here. Again, just a little bit shy of that score line, and running down here still, so that it finishes just before that tab, so that when it's decorated, this is what you'll see. Okay, so to put this on, of course, we want to make it a pocket, so this will just get adhered on there. I found it's easier with this one to decorate the whole thing first. So that's what we'll do. So I've got this as my front cover, and then we can embellish it once we've got all these guys on. All right. This is not a pocket. You could always make this another pocket. You could always put as many pockets as you like in here. So back to that one. And to this one. Giving yourself an even border. All right. Now you'll notice mine is quite wobbly in places. That's fine. I ink my edges so that it doesn't look quite so bad. And once you've got it all embellished and full and sitting in your journal, or let's face it, it would make a beautiful Happy Mail surprise. You won't notice all those fine details. You tend to notice it more because you're creating it. Right, so I've cut these ones out for this. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough left of that because it was a paper pad I'd already cut into, and I would have liked this on here as well. So I found one similar. This will go in here, and that one will go in there so that it brings that straight through. All right. So. Oh, I've gone quiet. Look at that. I must be concentrating. Okay. A little bit of that one in there. Next piece on. Ugh. That one goes turning round. I am in the right way, aren't I? Yes. Like so. Right. I love picking my papers. I love working all this out. What I have the most problem with is doing the deciding of how I'm going to embellish it. I could cover things with papers all day. I could do all these little templates and folds and flips and tucks all day. I love them. Absolutely love them. It's when it comes down to embellishing it and giving it some tears and all the rest, that's where I find I hesitate. It is one of my things, because I'll forever be going, yes, I like that. No, I don't like that. Put that aside. Oh, but I like that on something else. So if I use that now, then I've lost that embellishment. You know, back to the same old, same old. So what I've done with this one, it's a little bit wider, is I've cut out from this paper pad, and that's where digitals with all the embellishments that go with them are brilliant. Paper pads that have got little bits and pieces with them also are brilliant, because it gives you that option of, these are the things that are already going to go with everything. You don't have to think too much. They might have bits and bobs, like this one had these, it had these ladies. So, you know, it had all these. So it was just a matter of grabbing some of those out and trying not to think of what I might like to use on something else later on. So with this one, what I've done in this paper pad, it had clocks. So I'm going to decorate with the clock. So I've cut out a pile of clocks. So this one, of course, we just want to make into a pocket. Straight down here, along here, and up here. And then I'm just, because it's double thickness with the fold down bit, I'm going to put some paper clips on it just to hold it in place, because it's a little bit thicker, while we start decorating, making our journal cards and tags to go in it. So we just want to, all the way down the bottom, just before that tab, going up, giving it a push, big push, lots of muscles. All right, do up my glue, grab some paper clips, and I just want to hold that. I've got some glue poking out there. That'll just help it stay in place while we're decorating. Okay, so decorating wise, just move that, move that, move that. Move that, move that, move that. Put that die back in its little thing before I lose it. And these are the bits left over from that paper pad, from where I've cut out all my sections. And yes, I do still have more in that paper pad. Haven't used much of it. There's those clocks. You can see that I've pulled out tiny few pieces for different bits and pieces. What I want is a cluster of clocks. So I've cut out a few different sizes. And what I'm going to do is just play around now. And I'm thinking I want some book page on this one as well, just to come out there. But I want, these are old books. But they're just beautiful. Listen to that. Oh, doesn't that just, I've got some of that loose, I think. No, rice from the rock. So I've very carefully unstitched all of this book. Had the big old staples in it. And it's my, but it's such a beautiful colour. I haven't had to dye it or anything else. And it tears, look at that. Tears beautifully. There's nothing like old paper. I'm just going to get rid of those first. And down here. Take that a little bit longer because I'm debating whether I want that longer down there, like so. Colour on that is beautiful. That still allows. I want something along there. I want something along there. It's a word or something like that, doesn't it? What about here's a long one. Alright, if I just trim that at a bit narrower, I could use some washi tape, but let's use the rest of this that we've got here anyway. Don't want it too wide. I don't know what that is. Probably a little bit over 1/4 of an inch. 3/8 of an inch. To about there. No. No. Alright, let's do the other piece. And I might have to use the knife for that. See, what do they say? Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once, Kylie. Right, knife. This time, we'll be smart. Find a pencil. There. Sit it there. And actually measure that's where I want to cut it. Okay? Awesome. Now that should fit. Yes, it does. All right. So let's start sticking some of this down. So sorry, I'm going to ink. Everything else has been inked prior so that you didn't have to see it. But I like the look of ink around them. For me, it just allows it to pop. And it, I don't need to go up there. And it highlights. I want that one, and that one, wasn't it? Move those ones aside. And it highlights. That's going to go down there. So I'm going to glue that before I move the other one. This is just plain old book page. And I mean old. So I'll just use my glue stick, because that will be well and truly sufficient to adhere that down. So if I set that, move that before I put my arm in it. If I set that where I want that to be, nice and straight, lifting it up, then I can work out where I want that one to sit. And then I can push him down. Okay. Easy as that. Now, this one, This one will go back to the 2 lots because it is the slightly heavier cardstock. Or, yeah, it would be, it is definitely not copy paper, these paper pads. They're not as heavy as some. They're probably only about a, I don't know, a 180 GSM. I don't know what that is in pounds. But some of it is embossed, like the front cover of this, so if you can see it shine, and they are definitely thicker. A little bit of that in the centre. Right. This one was going to go about there. Make that straight first. There to there. Right, a few clocks. Don't think I did those ones. I want to get rid of that white that's showing around the edge. And again, it'll take away the whoops and bumps from where I've cut them out, because let's face it, circles are so easy to cut out. Not. Right. So my large clock first, and I'll just do it all with my wet glue. In the centre. And I've got tweezers here so that I don't put too much finger marks on it. Somewhere up there, just so that I can still see a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that one. Smaller one. If I do them quick enough, then the other one won't have dried much. Should I always put my clocks up the right way? This is one of those questions. Never know, but I always do. And I'm sure it's not a problem, but maybe it is just to me and some other people. So I'm going to put my tweezers on that one already to start with, and then it won't run away on me while I'm gluing it. Like so. Again, I have to look at the time. 12 o'clock's up that way. That's not straight. There we go. Right. My little strippy across there. And then if I find a word, I'd like a word in there. I can't guarantee I'm going to find a word in this time slot, though, because we've got to do our other ones yet. So now you could make that little front bit that I'm just doing now into a belly band as well to tuck something else in. All right. Across there, wasn't it? Straightening you. Yep, and I'm straight with my words on my book. So if my book's out of line, this will all be out of line now. All right. So there's my cover. And yes, I want a word on there if I can find one. In here, I need. I've got that one. That one's not bad because it's all that. But there was another red in that book that'll give that pop of red going on the inside, won't it? So let's have a look. That. Thinking I'd rather have that red. So I want him about that. And I made the mark where. There it is. By, do I like that dark or do I want the lighter colour? Got another tag that I can use here. Do I want that red in there with the black bit? I'm thinking. Thinking I want to go that lighter colour. About there. I can't find it. There it is. No, missed it. Found it. There we go. There we go. A little bit more off the bottom. Always take more off. It's just a real pain when you've taken too much off. That's better. Yeah, I like the red in the inside of it. I quite like the red on the inside of it. So, I'll just get rid of that. See how it's getting rid of that white? These are already plain on the other side, so they'll make journal cards straight away. Right, so I'll come back to decorating that. We'll get all these guys done first. I have the remainder of that. Now, I'm thinking I want that at the top of that one. So I've got a little bit wider. I want to go that way. I want to go that way. So I'm just going to straighten this one up because at the moment he's a bit wonky, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, don't need it too wide, too high, so I'm just going to fold that there, which is round about, if I can find my little ruler. How did I lose that? And I do it every time. There it is. So I've done it at about 1 1/4. Yep. I want to trim off that piece. Like so. And then what I want to do with a border punch, so I've just got a scalloped border punch here. Sorry for the noise. As I'm just going to sit it in there. Yes, it'll go through both pieces. Oh, and I've grabbed the wrong one. All right, so this one's smaller. I have 2 of these punches. And this is the one I wanted to use. See how it's right close to the edge? See how this one's further away? You'd think I'd get rid of this one. What it does is takes away way too much of my... I'll show you the difference. Same company, same punch. See? It's just one of those things, and I don't know why. See, it gives you all that extra. So we're going to use this side. That'll be fine. And what I want to do is I want about, take that off, and I want to go over to about there with about the same amount of, so what I've got is that, so that I can make myself a tag with that on the top. Make sense? Cool. All right, so this one needs to be about to there. Where was I? There it is. These guys should be dry now. Beautiful. All right. That one's going to go up there like so. And then I'm going to punch a hole in it. Right. I tend to use for this one, because I'm, just excuse me, I need to grab that, double-sided tape. And what I'll do is I'll set it here so that I'm just above my scallop, and then I can run it along that line. Just so that I know I've got a straight line. And then I'll do the same with the other side. So I'll sit my, am I more in the front? Yep. I'll sit my grid straight so that that scallop's just before that. And then I can run this to the next line. Trim that off. Awesome. Slowing down. Now I need to trim that bit. Right. Peeling off one side. Find your middle point again. So that's my middle point. And for this, it'll be that one. Okay, so what I've done is gone even there and there. One side's down. I've already got my crease in it, so this one I can just fold straight over. And then with a hole punch, about even. Probably should have used a larger one there. Do I have a larger one? We'll go over it. No, where's my larger one? No. Oh, I'm thinking I may have lent my large one out. All right, so that size it is. All right. Could nearly be thinner. Like that. All right. I want a little bit of a pocket with a tuck there, but I could make that just a tuck. It's a bit boring like that, isn't it? Have a look. I like that, so maybe I make that my thinking I like that better. All right. So I've just gone back to the red that I was using for the front and the back cover. And I want to make that a little bit narrower because I want that clock to stick out a little bit. So I take it back to, it's about 1 1/4 inches. It's just going to sit on there like that. That will sit on there like that. Not quite dead in half, like so. And then we've made a little pocket with a tuck. So let's have a look. The easiest way to do that is working this one out to where you want it. So again, I'll have my clock. I want him about there. I'm going to turn it over, make a pencil line. That is where I want my adhesive to go. I don't want it to come past that line. So I'll take it just up a little bit before that line so that when it oozes out, it's not over it. Going that way. And I can just adhere this down onto the line, top and bottom. Turn it over, give it a push, let it all ooze out. Just double checking my clock was up the right way. A little bit of glue. Right. That will then get adhered on that way to make another little pocket. Right. So this one can sit in here like so. And then we've got another little pocket. Now we could keep going and put pockets everywhere. This one could now, because this one was so decorative anyway, I didn't put anything else on here. There is no reason why this one can't have a pocket on it. There is no reason why this one can't have a pocket on it. Because we've got that spine in here, we've still got room to sit them out. So we'll very quickly, 5 minutes, very quickly make up a couple of more pockets to go in here. And really I'm looking at going the opposite way for that one. So let's do this, but going the opposite way. But what have I got on that side? I might make a small pocket there. So I just want something about that by about that. That one. Trimming. Can we see it? Yep, there it is. Oh, I need different glasses. That one. Very quickly ink around. We could put another tab in that one. Let's have a look. I could put another tab, but just a smaller tab, couldn't I? In there. Why not? I had my template from this. So if I use that, which I had sitting here under my glue book, there it is. Right, that's that one. If I make that smaller by just going to there, and then back, lining that up to there, lining that one up to there. See what I mean? How templates are good. Right, so now I've got another little tab in there. Oh, I've got some gunk on my scissors. That's made another little one in there. Cool. All right. Rub out that pencil line. See how quick and easy they are when you've got yourself just a little template, so that they'll all match in, and they're quick and they're easy to do. This one can now be, and let's face it, if you've got something like that on your pocket, you know which way you're going when you're gluing. The amount of times I have to keep turning over and looking at which way I'm meant to be gluing is ridiculous. All right. Yeah. So even that up, but I want to take it as far down towards the bottom, but even it up sideways, and I'll give it about the same amount of border here as what we've got there. So I've got another little pocket in here. Got that one there. I am thinking of going that way, but I had that, didn't I? That one. Need that about the same length as that one, I'm thinking. Right. Go that way, so I can just cut that off. There. Line it up with that one. Down. And I want it the same. Or do I go slightly smaller this time because I've got this clock? So that'll highlight off that one. That's my 5 minutes, isn't it? Sorry. All right. We'll adhere this one on, and then we're out of here. How's that? So I'm going to go this side this time. My problem is I can't read clocks either. About like that. Put my mark on there. Like so. That one. Oh, sorry. It's a long one again. Promised myself it was going to be a quick one. That's why I did all this early prep. Yeah, right, Kylie. All right. So again, same thing. We've got up the inside of that line. Fill all that in. Going down there so that it makes it even. Close to. Am I going the right way? Yes. Oh, that was a thought. All right. And then making this the pocket, but this time on the other side. Down. Cross. In. We're done. There. How's that? All right, so there's our two little file folders. Ended up being slightly different, but you can do whatever you like, Tom. Move some of that. Just move some of that. Do that glue up before I have to deal with that. All right, so we've got two completely different genres, themes, whatever you want to call them. Going from that. Going from that. If I put them that way, can we see both of them? Yes, you can. All right. Tag here. Still needs decorating. To there. To there. To there. I hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you'll look at your file folders in a whole new light. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, bye.